Welcome to another episode of The Modern Hotelier. We're excited to release this conversation with Maura Zambarano, the president of Mattress Concierge. David, what were some of your favorite takeaways from this conversation?
Yeah, her story about how she took over the company was amazing. And the way she spoke, I mean, I felt like I wanted to take a nap in one of those mattresses while we were airing it. It felt like, I was really just amazed at the way they approach sleep, which is something that we don't normally talk about on this show.
Absolutely. As somebody who does sleep on one of those mattresses every night, it was really cool to, hear the story behind it, and also how she does focus on not only the quality, but the longevity of sleep with these mattresses. Can't say enough good things about my mattress. So it was a great conversation to hear from her more about the process. So enjoy the conversation and let us know what you think in the comments.
Enjoy it. Welcome to The Modern Hotelier, the most engaged podcast in hospitality. Don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe, and let us know in the comments what you think about today's episode. Steve, who do we have on the program today?
Yeah, David, excited for this conversation. We have on Maura Zambarano, the president of Mattress Concierge. Welcome to this show, Maura. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good.
All right, Maura, so we're going to jump in. We're going to go through a lightning round, get to know you better, your background, your career, and then dive into some industry topics. Sound good?
Sounds great.
All right. What did you want to be when you grew up?
I wanted to be a mother with just 4 children.
Okay. What's something that you wish you were better at?
Concentrating on one thing at a time.
Okay. What's a luxury you can't live without?
My bow.
Okay. So if there was a person, dead or alive, who would you like to take to lunch?
My father.
Okay, that's good. And if you could have a superpower, what superpower would you like to have?
Just to get everybody to calm down.
I like that power. What's on your bucket list?
Growing this company. That is is a new thing on my bucket list.
Okay, that's great.
That was an impressive lightning round right there. I feel like you almost practiced for those. But so, Maura, you live in Connecticut right now. Is that where you grew up, or did you end up moving there?
I started in New York. My family was in New York, and then we moved to Connecticut. And then I moved many different places. And when I left Connecticut, I thought I was never going to live here again. And here I am back in Connecticut, raising my family and running a business. So
I love it. How did growing up in New York, Connecticut, kind of moving all over and then coming back to Connecticut shape you into who you are today?
it really provided me the experience to learn about a lot of different people and a lot of different places and a lot of different ways of living. I lived in Colorado, so from being in the mountains and that real outdoorsy feel to in Connecticut, we're close to the water, so living that, water life. I lived up in Vermont, so living that more Vermont lifestyle. So just being able to interact with so many different people and so many different viewpoints, I think has really shaped me as a person to be a bit more understanding about where people are coming from.
So you brought up Colorado. So you went to Colorado State, you got your degree in economics. How did you end up there, and how did you end up picking that degree?
So that's a funny one. So when I went to Colorado State, I actually started as natural resource management. That was my major. And my sophomore year, I was going to have to go to Poudre Canyon for 6 weeks and learn the Latin names of plants. And I was like, I'm not doing that. I don't like plants that much, and I'm not learning Latin, and I don't want to do that for my summer. So I went into my guidance counselor and I said, what can I need to switch my major because I'm not going to Poudre Canyon for school. I'll go there for fun, but not school. And what can I do? And I still want to get out in 4 years. I don't want to add another year. And she's like, well, you know what? Honestly, economics, you do really good in those core classes. So economics should be your major. And that's how I ended up with an economics degree.
So funny. So did you ever float the Poudre?
Oh, yeah. I spent a lot of time up there, but I wasn't spending time learning Latin name of plants.
Fair enough. I currently live in Fort Collins, so I would love to share some stories after this. I'm sure it's changed quite a bit. So,
Oh, yeah. I was actually out there touring CSU with my son recently,
no
and I
way.
hadn't been in 14 years. And yeah, changed, but it's still amazing.
It's one of my favorite places. So,
Yeah.
you mentioned one of the things you can't live without is your boat. You do quite a bit of offshore fishing. I feel like this is every fisherman's dream question. Can you tell me about your favorite catch or your favorite experience while doing some offshore fishing?
So my husband and my son are really into the offshore fishing. So they'll do like 150 miles offshore and do the deep sea. I personally like to pretend I can still see land. So I'll just go about 50 miles off. So I've caught a tuna before and that's pretty exciting. But a lot of times when I'm on the boat, we're doing a lot more bottom fishing. And so that's it's really fun. And I don't really care what we catch. It's just being on the water for me is like I have no stress and I'm not thinking about work as much. But the second you put me on land, my mind's like, but when I'm out on that water, it's just so relaxing. So, if we go 2 miles offshore, just sit on the boat in the marina, I'm happy, very happy.
I love it. I love it. So now we're going to dive into your career, how you got to be the president of Mattress Concierge. So this was something I found that was pretty interesting. So early in your career, you were traveling around the country doing grassroots sales. Is that correct?
Mhm. Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about this experience and kind of what you were doing?
Yeah. So I was living in Burlington, Vermont at the time, and I was working at Magic Hat Brewery and filling up beer growlers. That was my job. And I met these two guys there. They were starting a sauce business. And how they got into this is they had met a guy that ran a restaurant called River Run. He was going to develop these sauces and in line with Annie's Naturals, Annie's Naturals, the salad dressing. Well, at the time that their salad dressings took off. So they didn't really have an interest in these sauces that this guy was proposing. So these two men that I had met said, "Listen, we want to launch a sauce business. Are you interested in joining us?" I was like, "Absolutely." So, funny thing is, I was a vegetarian at the time, and we gutted this Airstream trailer and we made it into a little kitchen, and the side popped up, and we went to all these different festivals and fairs, and we did sampled the sauce, to people, gave away different sandwiches. But the best was pulled pork was one of the main sandwiches for this barbecue sauce we had. So we would spend the night and like we'd rent the kitchen and I would pull, I can't tell you the amount of pork for these sandwiches as a vegetarian. I am no longer a vegetarian after that experience. That's what we did. And we went to some like Renaissance festivals and just like random stuff I had never been to before. But it was really fun and it was a really fun experience. And it was really interesting to learn how you launch a product from literally the ground up.
That is funny. So you got into senior living, and you've been mostly on the sales and marketing side your entire career, and you're the founder of, is it West Gray, and which is a
Yes. Yep.
consulting service. What got you, and you're still there? What got you passionate about senior living?
So one, I was always very close with my grandparents, so I've always liked older people my entire life. And I was living in Connecticut, and I had moved to Dallas, Texas, and I was looking for a job there. And then my husband, my first husband, I had moved out there because his job was there. And interestingly enough, a year later, after me being there, his headquarters was moving to Connecticut, which was just so random. So this gentleman that I knew, his name's Dave Martino. He had an advertising agency, and I was working in property and casualty software solutions, and he was the advertising agency for that company. So I called him up and I said, "Hey, listen, I'm moving back to Connecticut. Do you know of any companies hiring?" And he's like, "Yeah, there's this company, Retirement Living Services. And what they do is they work for developers that build retirement communities." He's like, "I bet you'd love it. It's a very interesting industry. Why don't I connect you?" So he did. And that's how I started my career in senior living, literally from that connection. I flew home, interviewed. They said, "We want to hire you." Flew back to Texas, drove back home, and started 2 weeks later.
Wow. Wow. Quite the
Yeah.
story. And a couple years ago, you took over Mattress Concierge. Definitely not something that you ever anticipated or something that you were looking to get into. No, it's not the best story ever, but can you share a little bit more about how you became the president and what it's been like?
Yeah. Well, it's been a journey, I'll tell you that. So my ex-husband passed away unexpectedly in May 2 years ago. And at the time, our kids were 17 and 19. And he was the sole owner, the only person that ran the company. Honestly, I didn't really even know anything about the company at all. I didn't. Um, I didn't even have a mattress. Like I just didn't know anything about it. And so at first, people were calling me, "Oh, there's this mattress company. What are you going to do?" And everything had gone to my kids because they're legal next of kin. Specifically, my daughter because she was 19. And so she's like, "I'm not running a mattress company." It was crazy. And so after about a month, after kind of the dust settled a little bit about dealing with this tragedy, one night I was up and I just started looking into it. I had never been on the website. I didn't know anything about it. So I started looking into it and I didn't have any files. Like I didn't have anything to go look into. So I did a little research and I was like, wow, they're in like really high end, nice hotels. And specifically is two big, huge casinos here, the main casinos here in Connecticut, every single room. So I started looking at it. I was like, wait, there's a lot of opportunity here. Like this thing is really in its infancy and there's a lot of opportunity to grow it. So I decided to go to this conference. It's called the NIRA conference, which is the New England Inn and Resort Association, because he'd already paid to be a sponsor there and he was a pretty significant sponsor. So I talked to the woman, the rep there, and she was really great. I was like, listen, I don't know anything about anything. Like I literally don't know anything. And so she was super helpful to me about how the conference went, what needed to happen. And so I get there and I set up my booth and she tells me literally 10 minutes before, she's like, "Oh, you have to get up and speak for 3 minutes." I was like, "What?" She's like, "Oh no, because you're a main sponsor. So you're gonna, address everybody." And I was sweating so bad I couldn't take my coat off because I was like, this can't be good. So I went up and I literally don't even really remember what I said. And it was nuts. So the next day was like the trade show time. And my kids were there. I made them come to see because we all needed as a family to see what this was and were we going to do this. And so we're standing in the booth, and this gentleman comes over to me, Andy Ross, who's the general manager of the Brenton Hotel in Newport. He is an amazing human. And he comes over to me and he gives me his card and he says, "You have an amazing product. You can do this. You need to do this. It's going to be great." And I felt like it was like my father came out from heaven and was telling me, like, "You're going to do this. And you have an option." And so we did. We literally decided, my kids and I decided, okay, we're going to do this. And they've helped me for sure. I mean, they're still young. My son's a senior in high school and my daughter is now a junior in college. But I just taught myself the industry. I did a lot of reading, I did a lot of research, and here we are 2 years later.
It almost sounds like it's become a passion of yours and almost
Yeah.
a family business. Was there a moment where it kind of, I'm sure it's still stressful and a little overwhelming at times running your own company that you never planned on, but was there a point where you're like, "Oh, wow, I am passionate about mattresses and creating this high quality sleep experience"?
Yeah, I would say, well, me in general, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it 150%. It's just, I'm wired that way. And honestly, it's not a great thing at times, but that's just how I am. And I would say, even a year ago, probably a year into it, the first 6 months were really, really rocky. It was really, really hard. But then after that, and I kind of understood everything, it got a little bit better. But then my friend wanted a mattress, and so I'm on the phone, and I'm like, "You gotta, what you need this measurement and that measurement, and what kind of bed do you have?" And I'm like, going on. She's like, "You really know a lot." I'm like, "I guess I do." So it was in that moment that she said to me, like, "You really know a lot about this." That I was like, "You know what? I do know a lot about this, and this is going to be good. This is going to be great, and we're going to grow this thing and make our mark in the mattress industry."
That's great. And so, for those who aren't familiar, tell us more about the company Mattress Concierge and tell us more about what makes your mattresses unique.
So, Mattress Concierge was founded by a gentleman named Jeff Rogers, who has been an awesome human to me too. He is still alive and he is my definitely mentor. And when I'm very confused, I still call him up and he helps me for sure. So he was another person that was very instrumental in keeping it going. But he started it, so he had worked for the big brands, and he saw that there was a niche market for boutique hotels where they didn't have to have a contract. They could buy one mattress, they could buy 100 mattresses, they could buy 1,000 mattresses. It didn't matter, but also that it needed to be luxury, it needed to be durable, and it needed to be stand up more than 5 years, have something that would last 8, 9, 10 years, so that these boutique hotels could provide this great sleep experience and be able to do that on, a budget that was appropriate for a boutique hotel. He also came up with the design of one side is plush and the other side is firm, because in the boutique world, the guest experience shouldn't be the same for everybody. And it's about what that guest is in their sleep experience. So, from an operational perspective, it made it very easy for a boutique hotel. If somebody came down and said, oh, it's a little too soft, they could flip that bed then and there. They didn't have to move rooms. They didn't have to bring another mattress in. They could just flip it over. And then that guest was satisfied. So he came up with that design as well, which is very unique to our company. The other thing about us too is that when you work with Mattress Concierge, you work with me. So there's no middleman. When we make promises, we make them happen. We can also custom make anything. So let's just say the design in your room, like for example, I just made a queen with mattress, but a full length, because the boutique hotel, the rooms they're not these huge rooms, but they wanted at least a queen bed. So we're able to custom make anything that is conducive to whatever they're trying to create within their hotel room. The other thing too is that we have really quick turnaround times. So when that disaster happens, whatever that may be, we can definitely get them a mattress within a week. Depending upon location, we can get that to them right away within a week. And we're not compromising on what they're trying. Like, it's not something out of a local store that's not in any of the hotels or that somebody didn't experience before. So that's a huge differentiator with us as well.
Yeah, and I gotta give you a little plug. For those that might not know, I actually sleep on a Mattress Concierge mattress. And two things that I'm terrible at: sleeping and eating. I forget to eat and I never can get to sleep. And recently had a baby, so I'm just mentally thinking about how little sleep I'm gonna get. And I have to tell you, like, it has been a lifesaver at the perfect moment, because not only were you incredible, easy to work with, because buying a mattress is always tricky, because I feel like people owe the softness, and all
Yeah.
what type of mattress you like, but you made the whole thing extremely easy. I was looking at a different mattress and you're like, "Oh no, you want this one? Go with this." And you had the team deliver it to my house. They even offered to take out my old mattress, but they got everything set up. The whole process was extremely easy, and I have not slept this well ever in my life. So I just got to say that thank you very much
Well,
for
thank
the
you.
incredible mattress, and keep up the phenomenal work, because not only are you easy to work with, but you have an awesome product as well.
Thank you. Well, it's funny because that was the first thing that we did when we decided to push this business forward after that conference. I ordered mattresses for our house, and my kids and I were like, why didn't we get these from dad sooner? Like, these are so
they're,
comfortable.
so, they're so comfortable. So kudos to you. So now we're gonna dive into some industry thoughts, and I'm really excited to hear this, because sleep is one of those areas that is evolving so quickly in hospitality. And you've said that sleep is actually the most critical part of the guest experience, which I agree with, because the first night I ever stay in a hotel, I get terrible sleep, and the next day just kind of isn't as great. So, why do you think so many hotels still underestimate the sleep side of things? And from a business standpoint, what are they missing out on?
I think hotels forget that that's what their main purpose is sleep. I mean, people go to a hotel and they want to get some sleep. I mean, you're not going to a hotel to stay up all night, right? And so they look at the mattress as a cost, not an experience. And at the end of the day, when somebody comes and stays at a hotel and they don't sleep well, it's not like they're going to go all over social media and say that bed was terrible. You don't see those comments out there, but when they do sleep well, you see that all over the place, and it becomes an extension of that hotel's brand.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm gonna butch I always get this hotel's name wrong, but hotels like Hotel Fagara in LA and Equinox in New York City, they offer sleep experiences. Do you think this is something that we're going to see a lot more hotels kind of trending towards, this focusing on the sleep rather than ignoring it?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. If you look in any sort of social media or news or whatever, what are the top 3 things they talk about? Number 1 is sleep. That is always number 1. The second one is protein. Eat your protein. 1 gram for every pound you weigh or whatever it is. And then it's 10,000 steps a day. Or they'll put out this whole thing of like how you can lose weight, what you can do to be better, blah, 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 blah. But the top thing people always say is sleep. So if somebody's not getting a good sleep, they're not going to perform, whether it's at work, whether it's, physically, whatever it may be. If you don't sleep well, you're not going to be firing in full capacity. And I think the hotels are starting to, especially boutique hotels, realize for them to be a differentiator and people to want to go there, they have to create that sleep experience. And it's not just that's the other thing is you can have an amazing mattress, but if you don't have great sheets and great pillows,
Right.
it's not going to work. So you have to have the entire package. And then to create that brand and extension of the brand, they really need to start to have it as somebody comes and sleeps there and then they can buy all of that, whether it's, a diffuser, a certain nightlight, a certain clock to the pillows, the sheets, the mattress, all of it. The guest should really be able to purchase all of that in the room because that's just going to extend their brand.
100% agree. 100% agree. So when a hotel is looking to upgrade their mattresses or buy new mattresses, what should they look into? Because you also have not only the comfort side, but the longevity side as well. So any advice you have for hotels when they're looking at mattresses, what to look at and consider?
Well, if they currently have a mattress and it's only been 5 years and they have to replace it, don't buy that same mattress. You should not have to replace your mattresses within 5 years, period. It is not a durable mattress. A client of ours, they were like, we're going to replace all our mattresses. I said, you just got them 4 years ago. And they're like, well, it's part of like our hotel policy. I said, why do you have that policy? Well, when we had our other mattresses, I said, I said, listen, I'd love to sell you all new mattresses. Don't misunderstand. However, you don't need them. And it was interesting that the woman, the head of housekeeping, was like, thank you so much for saying that. Cause I kept telling them these mattresses are durable. There is no reason you should be changing your mattress in the 5 years. Now, what is the old statement? You get what you pay for, right? And when you're today, construction costs are through the roof. They are. And so when people are building a brand new hotel, where are the places they're going to squeeze? It's a lot of times, unfortunately, it's in that guest room. And so they're just like, you know what, we're just going to put this in here and then we'll deal with it a couple years from now. I have several the bids out right now and for that very experience where they're like, we know we didn't buy the high end mattress and now we need to turn it. So for me, not just because of the mattress business, but you really, really need to create a great guest sleep experience. So you really need to think about that the mattress isn't just a cost, it is a differentiator. And so you really need to think about not skimping on that in the beginning of the project. Because if you could have the most incredible lobby, but if somebody doesn't sleep well, they're not coming back. Period.
This episode is brought to you by Mattress Concierge. Mattress Concierge has been trusted by luxury hotels and boutique properties for years, designing custom mattresses that deliver exceptional comfort, durability, and a truly elevated sleep experience. Now, they're bringing that same 5-star sleep experience into your home. Mattress Concierge Home offers handcrafted, hospitality-grade mattresses made with premium materials and tailored to deliver the perfect balance of support and comfort. And this isn't a one-size-fits-all approach. Every mattress is designed as a custom sleep solution, built to enhance not just how you sleep, but the overall feel of your space. For hoteliers, it's about creating unforgettable guest experiences. For homeowners, it's about finally getting the kind of sleep you only thought was possible in a luxury hotel. If you've ever stayed somewhere and thought, I wish I could take this bed home, now you can. Visit mattressconcierge.com to learn more and explore their collection. That's mattressconcierge.com.
So you touched on it a little bit already, but let's go a little deeper into the actual hotel that upgrades their mattress program. What's the real downstream impacts that you're seeing with the reviews, repeat stays, overall guest satisfaction, and maybe even, some samples of some properties you've helped?
So if somebody has a great experience someplace, no matter what it is in life, it could be a restaurant, it could be a car, buying a car, it could be staying at a hotel, whatever that experience is, if they have a great experience, you're lucky if they tell one person about it, fully tell that one person. If they have a bad experience, they often tell about 10 people. So you have to understand that, especially in the hotel world, in the boutique hotels, is that because boutique hotels are still competing against the name brands because people don't like change, right? They like consistency. And when you go to the name brands, you know it's going to be the same consistent experience. And so to beat out on that, you have to provide a better experience and an elevated experience. So you could have that one room that you haven't changed the mattress in and you really know you need to, but you're kind of holding out, and then somebody sleeps in there and they have a bad experience, that's not going to help you. That's not helping your brand. That's not helping repeat stays. Also, if somebody has a bad experience from a sleep perspective, they're not going to rebook. It's going to take them a bit to rebook. And especially if it comes to a boutique hotel, they might try the one down the road. They like the town, they like the city that they're in, but if they didn't have a great experience at that one, then they're going to go down the road and try a different one.
Absolutely. So I've kind of a question where you think sleep is going to be in a few years, because I know there's hotels that I've stayed at. I can pick if I want a higher floor. I can pick if I'm away from the elevator. I can even pick the music that's on when I walk into my room. But one thing I can't pick and personalize is my sleep experience. Where do you think the sleep experience is going? And are we going to be able to personalize that in 5 or so years?
Well, you're seeing it with the pillow menu. You know how it's like some of these hotels have the pillow bar? So it's starting already. And I think you're gonna have even more elevated where somebody may want, it's wintertime, they prefer a flannel sheet or, whatever, a bamboo sheet or a thicker blanket. A lot sometimes you go to a hotel and it's a very thin sheet and a very thin comforter. And so other people like, a heavier blanket. I think you're gonna start to see that pillow bar, you're going to start to see a blanket bar and stuff like that to help with that sleep experience. And then, sound machines. You're seeing a lot of the companies, I seeing more often, that are popping up that have like the sleep mask, the sleep spray, and all of that is now starting to be a thing in hotel rooms where it's this whole entire area of the room is catered towards sleep. With having that dual-sided mattress, we've already been playing into that experience for a long time now because we've had that product where we can flip it.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. You guys are a little bit ahead of the curve already, so you can find out if somebody wants a firmer or softer mattress before they even arrive, and make sure that it
Right.
fits to their preference. So this has been great, Mara. So we're at the point of the show where we turn the mattress and let you ask us a question, instead of us asking you all the questions.
So with all of the interviews that you guys do, what are you seeing as the biggest trend in the boutique hotel today that most of them are grabbing onto?
David, you want to take this one first?
I know it's kind of self-serving, and maybe because sometimes we have a lot of tech on, but I do think that we're finally starting to see hotels embrace some of the technology that makes sense, but people are afraid are going to diminish the experience. So, for example, messaging the hotel, offering upgrades through the phone, so you can communicate with somebody, or leveraging AI, to pick up the phone, so that you're not having this horrible experience, being on hold if you don't text message and you need to call. So I do feel there's a shift, and I feel that hotels are now finally saying, okay, it's okay to have technology. It's not taking away from the guest experience. It's actually helping the guest and it's helping our staff.
Yeah, I'll go with one that kind of almost relates to mattresses here, the wellness side, and not only the wellness, but the general health and well-being side as well. I just was talking about this recently, how a friend of mine went to this like kind of health resort where they take all of your body, temperature, and get all a bunch of data from your body, also are tracking your sleep, and kind of giving you back general guidelines. Hey, maybe these numbers are a little low, these are a little high, here's how you can help that. But like measuring sleep as well, to your point, Mara, like sleep is one of the most important things that we can get, right? So making sure that we are measuring that correctly and people are getting enough sleep. And I think we're going to see sleep consultants on how we can get better sleep in the future, and, just live a overall healthier life. Awesome. Well, that has been great. So, our producer, John, has been listening this whole episode. We are going to loop him in for one more question before we get you out of here, Maura.
Since you're kind of new to the hotel world or hotel industry, I'm curious, like, since working and serving hotels, what is one thing that you have really come to enjoy about it working in this industry now?
Experiencing different hotels. I traveled for business. I will admit that I was a large brand frequent traveler, because I wanted those points so that when, my family wanted to go away, we would go away. And coming into this, it's not that I never stayed at a boutique hotel, but that wasn't what I searched on when I was traveling for work. I'm sorry, but that was me. But now that's all I stay in. And that boutique hotel experience is awesome. Like, I really wish, because I have been very fortunate through my senior living career to be able to literally, I've been all over this country. So, and I feel that I've been very fortunate to have that career, to have that experience. And I wish I knew how much I would have loved boutique hotels 20 years ago and had been able to have all those different experiences along the way. The other thing about me is I am that one that rips the entire bed apart. I'm like, what mattress is this? What pillow is this?
Well, I have a question, kind of tying together your senior living experience and just like the hotel industry. What similarities do you see between those, or what has that experience helped inform what the work you do now?
Customer service, and customer service, and being true to your word. If I say it's going to happen and it's going to be delivered, then it's going to happen and it's going to be delivered. And I will follow it myself to make sure that it's going to be happen and be delivered. In senior living, so what I do in senior living, a lot of times the community is not even built yet. So you're literally selling blue sky. So whatever you promise somebody in that blue sky, it better be delivered when the building opens. And I bring that same philosophy and idea to Mattress Concierge. So I'm not going to sell something to somebody that they don't need it. Like that hotel that said they wanted to buy all new mattresses. Would that be good for my bank account? 100%. But morally and ethically, I couldn't have them do that because they didn't need to. And other times, somebody just reached out to me recently and they really kind of want a budget mattress. And as much as I could have been in a lot more rooms. I'm not making that mattress. That's not us. We are a luxury, durable mattress at a great price point, and we're staying there. And I'm going to stay within my lane that I like, and I'm going to keep improving on it. But I just don't want to adhere to a lower standard of what we're trying to do at Mattress Concierge.
Well, that's good to hear. Well, that does it for another episode of The Modern Hotelier. Maura, this is where you get to let people know how they can get in touch with you, how they can find out more about Mattress Concierge. So plug away.
So you can find us at mattressconcierge.com. You can also go on our website and see the different hotels that we're in. So if you want to experience our mattresses, and we also do sell direct to consumer. We typically sell only to people that have stayed in hotels. But in your case, Steve, I knew you'd love it. So I knew you wouldn't say you wanted to return it. So I did sell to you. But you can just go right online and find us. And I'm on there. The email goes directly to me. The phone number goes directly to me. So if you called Mattress Concierge, I'm the one that you're going to be speaking to.
Well, that does it for another episode of The Modern Hotelier, hospitality's most engaged podcast. Whether you're watching or listening, we appreciate you and hope to be with you again soon. Thanks for joining us, Maura.
Thank you.
You made it to the end of The Modern Hotelier. Thanks for watching or listening. The Modern Hotelier is produced by Modern Hotelier Media. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're listening on YouTube, or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you know a good guest, sponsor, or have media needs, feel free to reach out to us at hello@themodernhotelier.com. Thanks and have a great day.